The third declension is a set of endings for Latin nouns, but before we learn how to form the third declension, let's look at the declensions we already know. We've learned that the first declension is used primarily for feminine nouns, and when you're given the first two principal parts, the nominative singular ends in A, and the genitive singular ends in AE. The second declension masculine usually ends in US in the nominative singular, and I in the genitive singular. The second declension neuter ends in in the nominative singular, and I in the genitive singular. But then we get to the third declension, and if you notice here we have a masculine, feminine, and neuter third declension noun, as it can occur in all three genders. And the singular nominative of all of these is irregular, and that will be the same for every third declension noun. However, if you look at the genitive, all of the genitives of the third declension end in is, and this is where you will derive your root of the word from. Now the third declension is broken up into two sets of endings, one for the masculine and feminine and one for the neuter. So let's start with the masculine and feminine. We're going to be using the word rex regis, which is masculine and it means king. And note, as always, when you're given a noun in Latin, you're given two principal parts, the nominative singular and the genitive singular. Now that nominative singular is going to be used for one thing and one thing only, the subject of the sentence. Then we go to our genitive singular here in blue to get the stem for the rest of our endings. And we drop off that is, and that gives us the stem of reg, which we're going to add our third declension endings for the masculine and feminine onto. So, when this is done, our declension goes like this: rex, regis, regi, regem, rege, reges, regum, regibus, reges, regibus. Now let's look at the third declension neuter. And for this we're going to use the word decus decoris, which means glory. Now the third declension neuter is very similar to the third declension masculine and feminine, with the only changes occurring in the nominative and the accusative. So, remember that first principal part, decus, gives us the nominative singular. And for most of the rest of this declension, we're going to go to decoris for the stem. Now the only difference is that in the singular, the nominative and accusative are going to share the same exact form, and in the plural, the nominative and accusative are going to share the same exact form. And this is true for all neuter declensions. So, in the singular, it's decus, decoris, decori, decus again, because we're going to repeat the nominative singular, and decore. Moving into the plural, we're always going to use that a as the ending for the nominative and the accusative of a neuter noun in the plural. So we're going to have decora, decorum, decoribus, decora again, and decoribus.